Okay, Dad, are you ready to hear our new jingle?
Are you ready?
I think I'm ready. Okay.
Let's go for it then.
All right, after three. Three.
Three.
Two. No, together. Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Three.
Three.
Two.
Two.
One.
One.
Let's just go. Hello and welcome to Colin Bradley Artcast. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
I'm just going to turn you up there. Welcome everyone to episode 64. How's it going?
A brand new jingle, eh?
A brand new jingle to kick us off. Well, I think it's about time we had a new one.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it was very good though. You chose well there, Stevie.
It's very good. Yes, love it. So, how's it going, Dad?
Okay. Yes. Another good week. But how are you? You had a bit of a cold at the beginning of the week. Are you okay now?
I am okay now. I feel a lot better. Yeah, I think it was after the tour that finished last week. I think it was quite intense, and I think I probably just crashed a little bit, because it's long, obviously long days because you're working all into the evening and then driving back and things like that. So I think I was a bit run down, but I feel a lot better now.
Oh, good. Well, you've got to be, because you've got another tour starting next week, haven't you? You busy boy.
Absolutely, yeah. On Monday, I start doing a TIE tour, which is Theatre in Education. Anyone that has been listening from the beginning will know that I did this last year, and it's come around again. So it's another 2-week tour, which is going to be really good fun. I can't wait.
No, I bet you. That's one of the things you really enjoy, don't you?
I do love it. I love it because you hope that you're making an impact on kids' lives. You know, they're sort of 10 to 11 to 12. No, 10 to 11. And it's a really nice age. And you hope that you can kind of influence them. It's about drinking and smoking and things like that. And you're trying to obviously put them off doing that. You hope, because it gets a really good reaction. Every single show gets a great reaction. The kids love it. They really, I'm not just saying that, they love the show that we put on for them. And you just hope that kind of stays with them when they go on to their next school, their high school or senior school that people would know. So you just hope that it makes a difference. I think it does.
I'm sure it does, Steve. I'm sure it does. Okay, well, we've got a packed old show today, haven't we?
We have, blimey. It feels like ages since we last recorded a podcast.
That's right. And, of course, we ought to explain, in case someone's wondering why it's not quite as good as it usually is. We're doing this on Skype, aren't we?
We are, yes.
It's not as synchronised as it is when we're together.
As demonstrated by the opening intro.
I tell you what, though, it's a lot of fun. It's good fun.
It's fun for us.
It's fun for us. I hope it is for them too.
Okay, well, let's kick off. You start us off this week, Dad. I think you've got a feedback for us.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm going to start with a question.
Okay.
What it was from Dale. What it was, do you remember the Rustic Cottage? This was ages ago.
Yes, the Rustic
Cottage. And I mentioned a 640. And the reason I'm bringing it up now, because other people maybe, even new members who wouldn't have heard that, who go onto the Rustic Cottage and say, what's he talking about, 640? But I did explain, and I do explain in the video, that 640 was a colour of Carbothello. And it was an Indian red, although it's nothing like our Indian red of 192 in the Faber range. And Dale said, what's this 640? Anyway, I did explain it to him, what it was. And the reason I used the 640 is I needed a particular colour which I couldn't find in the Faber range. Sometimes this will happen. I must admit it hasn't happened since then. But sometimes this can happen, and that's the reason. So if anybody listens to that and says, "What's he talking about, 640?" and goes searching for the number, I do explain that it is a Carbothello pencil, and you can still get it. It's still available, and I would say, although I'm a great lover of the Faber-Castell, if you can get hold of that 640, it's worth it.
Right.
If you can get hold of it in the art shops, get hold of it. buy a couple because it's a very unique colour.
Oh,
so that
okay.
was Dale. So Dale, I've already told him that, but I thought it would be interesting in case anybody else,
Yeah.
has brought up the same question.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to make sure that I'll have that written on the instructions at the beginning of the lesson on
Might be a good idea.
that course.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, good one. Nice one.
Okay. Is it your turn or my turn?
Let's take it in turns.
All right, your turn.
I've got something here in answer to a previous question. Are pastel pencil pictures paintings or drawings? I think we may have covered this maybe the week before last or last week. I can't even remember now. So we've had a couple of feedbacks on this. I don't know where we got these from. Were these from Facebook?
Oh, I think there was a mixture there.
Okay.
Ones I've given you, but I thought it was interesting that other people have commented on it.
Yeah. So Lisa says, I was told if you fill the whole picture by putting on a background, it is classed as a painting. And if you draw and colour an image on the paper, it's a drawing. So that's interesting. That's if you have a background on it, it's more of a painting. As we've discussed this before, that your pictures especially look more like paintings than drawings, and that's it probably is down to the background. It completes the picture.
In fact, Steve, years ago when we were drawing, and I had my classes, this question came up quite often, and people used to ask me this, and I used to say to them, well, look, because they were hesitant in putting a background in, and I can understand it's quite tricky, especially when you do it afterwards. And I used to say to them, look, if you complete the picture and you put a background in, you could consider this a painting. If you don't put a background in, then I think you should consider this a drawing. And I used to mention that to them. And I think that's basically what Lisa was saying. And I think this is true because the pastel pencil, after all, pastel work generally, Degas pictures, you wouldn't call them drawings, would you? They are paintings.
Yeah.
And he uses pastel, so we use pastel. So I think if we can really term that. Anyway, you've got some more.
There's some more here. Yeah, there's one from Suzanne. Just on the same subject of that, actually. Suzanne says, the reason pastels in all their forms are classed as paintings, regardless of a background, is that they are pure pigment. If you crumble them and mix them with water, you have paint. The softer the pastel, the less it has mixed with it to bind it. The only difference between a stick and a pencil.
That's absolutely right. I totally agree with that.
Very good, very good. And lastly, Paul says they class using pastels and pastel pencils as well as coloured pencils as a finished artwork. They call it a painting. So
there you are.
There you go.
I wouldn't necessarily call a coloured pencil, normal coloured pencil, a painting, but why not? You can call it what you want.
Yeah. So there you go. Right, over to you.
My turn. Oh, right. Okay. Now, what I've got here, we were talking about how to store pencils.
Yes.
Right. Well, Barbara has sent me an email saying, hi, Colin, I use a jam jar for my desk and store the pastel pencil I'm not using in the project in one of the purpose-built boxes. She also uses a wrap, though, because that's ideal for travelling. And also, Jade has said the same thing. She uses a wrap when she's out, out and about. And interesting, though, Jade also mentioned that she took her wrap and her Kindle to Starbucks. And while she was in Starbucks having her coffee, she put her Kindle on, put the tiger cub up and started drawing with it.
Brilliant. How about that? That's fascinating.
That's keen, isn't it?
That is brilliant. I mean, having your morning coffee, and especially with like a Kindle, it's like an iPad, so mobile. You just take it with you, load up the internet, load up one of our lessons, and away you go. You learn on the go.
And she'd use a wrap.
And she uses a wrap.
But she doesn't back at home. So, right. So it's basically, I think this was a generally this is what's happening. This is what people are doing. And it's a great idea. The jam jars are good. The reason I use a jam jar is you can see them. They're there in front of me. If I put them all away in a box, I have to get the box out every time, and it's not easy. Sometimes I reach for a pencil, and they're all, colour side up in the jam jar so I can put them. The only problem with that is if my pencil gets too low, I use, about 2 inches. You can see what happens. It drops into there and I can't see it, so I have to empty them all out.
You can't get to it.
I usually stop the video then and rubbish through them.
Oh, brilliant. Good, excellent. Yeah, I think that seems to be a general idea. It's great. I mean, if anyone else has got other ways of storing pencils, another way that they use their setups, then let us know. Get in touch with us. There's a blog post on storing pastel pencils. You can either comment on there or send us a message on Facebook or something like that. Get in touch.
Absolutely.
So I've got one here from Helen. Now, Helen has written us a lovely long email about how she came across the pastel pencils, and she says amongst her email that you're the best artist using the pastel pencils, hands down. So that's nice. Now, Helen's considering taking up a membership on our website, and she's asked a couple of questions. She said, the lifetime option seems most attractive to me. I'm inclined to think that in my case, the current 80-plus hours of tutorial is probably enough for a lifetime, but the human heart is ambitious, or shall I admit greedy. Will any new videos be added on stream ever so often? I ask partly because with another UK website, specifically Art Tutor, they have new videos being added every month. Now, having said that, I must admit that they are not an exclusive individual website, nor do they offer a lifetime membership. In any case, I'm sure you won't deny me an answer to a simple question. I remain an avid admirer of your painting mastery. So,
thank you
very much, Helen.
Well, you are going to get at least one a month.
At least.
At least.
I think last month we added 4.
Well, there you are.
So, yes.
We're the only thing sometimes, like at the moment, I'm doing a picture of the 2 children.
Yes.
And I'm about a third of the way through that now. That's a long one. And when you put that up, that's going to be another 4-hour job like the koalas was. So really, when that goes up, one could say, well, that you've got a month's worth. Although we never do that. We always put another one on anyway. And there's so much in the pipeline that I've got lined up, as you know, Steve, that if you stick to one a month, well, we wouldn't be able to. We'd have to put 2 or 3. I remember you mentioned when you were down here, we're getting a backlog here. I'm going to have to put a few up. And that's what you did.
Yeah.
So I think, Helen, have no fear. We'll keep you going forever and ever and ever.
Forever and ever and ever.
Run out.
So, yeah, that's great. Well, I hope that answers your question, Helen. And there we go. So, over to you.
My turn. Well, Lisa asked a really good question. She said was, could you paint animals in watercolour? And could you treat them the same way as pastel pencils? Now, the answer to this is no, you can't really. Pastel pencils is unique. And if you know my story, and I'm sure a lot of people do know my story, I tried to do it in watercolour. I tried to do a dog in watercolour right from the beginning, and I failed miserably, but succeeded with the pastel pencils. The problem with watercolour is when you're doing something like that, and she also mentioned, I might add, that do you use it in the same way? Do you use, direction of fur and all this sort of thing? And I suppose you would have to if you were trying to create the effect, but you'd fail miserably with it. It's just something that watercolour is great for landscape work, fantastic. But when you come to portrait work, that is animals or human portraits, I feel that they're wanting. Now, watercolour artists will disagree with me on that. I know they will. And that's fine, but it's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Can I also add, Laura, because this is another question that Lisa sent me, so let me just put another one in here, another good one. Lisa asked, can you fix a part of a picture? When you're painting, can you fix a part of a picture so it's stable and then you can continue?
Oh, yeah.
Now you've got a problem with this because a fixative, I'm not a great lover of fixative anyway, but if you do fix it, 2 things happen. One is you make the area that you fixed almost like a board, it's completely different. So when you add something to that, it looks completely different. That's the first thing. But worse than that, when you fix it, you've got two choices. You can either mask out the area you haven't fixed, okay? Can you just imagine that? Mask it off so that you only fix the area you want to fix. Or you don't mask it off and you spray the thing, which will eventually go over the pastel paper as well.
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second.
All right. You're going to answer that,
I'll call you back. Okay, thanks.
Carry on.
Carry on.
What was I talking about?
You can either mask a picture.
So when you sprayed your picture, you've got the fixative over your pristine part of your pastel paper. You see what I mean?
Mm.
And when you go to put your pastel on that, it will not react in the same way that it would have done had you not done it. It would be crisper and you would lose the advantage of having the pastel paper. So really, that was a long answer, but the short answer to it is no.
I like the fact that you could have done the short answer first.
Well, I have to explain it. It's no good just saying, no, you can't, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Full stop.
It's got to be a reason.
You've got to explain it. The reason I know this so well is I tried it. When I first started out, I actually thought, because I was fixing pictures then, I was using Carbatello, which hasn't got the same pigment as the Faber-Castell. So I used to fix it. And it was disasters. I had some disasters, I can tell you. So that's why I'm saying, no, don't do it. It won't work.
Great. Okay, that's very justified. And it's your experience as well, so that's good. Mm. Okay, well, let's dive on to my side. I've got a speak pipe message from Jade. She's left us a voice message on our website. So let's roll Jade.
Hello, Colin and Stephen. This is Jade from New York. First of all, I would like to say how much I am enjoying being a member. I joined a few days ago and I'm having a blast. I'm already on my 4th portrait, beginning the 5th one, and I am really having a great time. And thank you, Colin. Your teachings are amazing, and I really love the quality of the videos. It's almost like you are right here next to me in my studio. Anyways, I was listening to one of the podcasts, I think it was podcast 59, where Stephen said that we can actually suggest what subjects we would love to see you creating for us, and I really would love to paint a hawk. That would be such a dream if I could paint my favorite bird. So I guess I'm looking forward to that day when you do give us a hawk or even an eagle. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
There you are. Thanks, Jade, for that
Isn't
message.
That great? Yeah. So I've got to answer that question now, haven't I?
You've got to, really, yeah.
Well, the good news is we are going to do not necessarily a hawk, but something similar to a hawk very soon.
Ooh.
I would say that it's on the cards. Once I finish the 2 children, we'll be looking at another animal. And I've got 2 animals which I want to do. And one of them is going to be similar to a hawk. Now, I mustn't give too much away because Stephen doesn't like me to do this, but it's all there on the card, so I'm sure Jade will be thrilled to bits with that.
Yeah, it's great.
So that's a fantastic. Thank you so much for that voice message. It's great to hear from you, and I hope more of you will do this and be a part of our show, which is great.
Yeah, great. So Jade sent us a message, a written message. She commented on one of our blog posts about signing pictures. I think it was a blog post to do with that, but she's written, is there any particular place that is best to sign the portraits? I seem to be struggling with that as I'm not sure how prominent my signature should be. So far I haven't signed any of my animal portraits. Okay,
well, again, this is a great question, and it's got a little bit of a long-winded answer to it as well. Generally speaking, it's up to the personality of the artist, I would say, as to how dominant it should be. I've seen artists that splash it across the picture and in a really prominent space. Well, once that happens, when I see that, it kind of tells me that this artist is a little bit egotistical. I'm sorry about that, but that's how it looks to me. I prefer to be discreet. And what I do is I put mine at the bottom of a picture always, whether it's never in the middle or I don't think I've ever put a signature in the middle, but it's either to one side or the other in the bottom of the picture. What I do, actually, everybody, and you could do the same thing, is when you finish a picture and you think, now, either I'm not going to mount it at the moment, but try to mask it off as though you were going to mount it. And at the bottom, you'll see that there's going to be the area, either at the left or right, that you could use and put your signature in. If it's a dark area, then you could use a very sharp white pencil to put it in. But usually I try to make provision for that by making a lighter area somewhere so I can put a darker. I always, if I'm using pastel pencils, I always use a pastel pencil to sign with, always. I always use the medium that I'm using to sign with. So therefore, I put the picture. Now, I use it with this mount on your picture. You can then judge about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. From the side, it doesn't matter so much. It's the bottom of the picture. The reason I say that is because so often, if you just sign your picture and you without this kind of provision, when you come to frame it, very often you've either got to frame too much of it because you've put your signature too far down. I mean, you can get out of it by putting it in again, but, it's a bit fiddly, that. So this is the way I do it. I kind of work it out before I put my signature on where the best place to put it is. And it's usually at the bottom, 1/4 of an inch up from either side.
Great.
I think that's. Did I explain that well enough?
Yeah, that sounds great. It makes sense to me. There's a reason as well you don't date your pictures, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yes, that's another good. Thanks for bringing that up. The reason I don't date it is I was told many years ago not to do it because I had, up to that time, I'd put the dates on. My Pulpero picture in the lounge has got 1987 on it. I can't do anything. I didn't do anything about that. But since then, I haven't dated them. And this chappie told me, don't date them because if you ever want to put them in the exhibition and it doesn't sell, then you want to put another exhibition, it doesn't sell, and it goes on for a few years, people will know that it's an old picture, and maybe it kind of could have a detrimental effect to the picture itself. It depends on how you feel about this. I was selling pictures. I was a professional artist, so I felt that that's absolutely right. So you could pick up a picture of mine in a gallery, and it wouldn't have a date on it. Therefore, you wouldn't know how old it was.
Yeah.
It could have been painted yesterday. It could have been painted 3 years ago. It kind of puts a seal on it, which is not a good idea, in my opinion.
Yeah.
However, I've got to say that all the masters did it. They all put the dates on. And I suppose if in about 100 years from now, someone picked up one of my pictures in an antique show and said, no, this is Colin Bradley. Oh, yes, no, he was around, but it's not dated, so...
it's worth nothing.
Do you know what I mean? But to be honest, folks, I don't really care about that, I'm not really that way of thinking. I'm hoping my pictures will last that long, but that doesn't worry. So that's the reason I don't do it. That doesn't mean to say you don't do it, you can do it.
Interesting.
But I don't.
It's great hearing your opinions on that. It's really interesting. Okay, good. Well, I hope that answers your question, Jade. Let's dive over to your side now. What have you got?
That's my side again. Okay. Well, one of the things, this is a feedback more than it is a question, Steve. It was from Claudia. And she said, hi, Colin. I've completed the white horse about a month ago and gave it to my husband as a gift, as horses are one of his passions. I know it's not perfect and I can see lots of mistakes, but he loved it and wanted to frame it, and I thought you'd enjoy seeing it. So what she done, she sent me the picture framed up, and it looks absolutely stunning in a lovely wooden frame. And although Claudia said that, you can see mistakes, I couldn't see any. One of the problems you have with this, you see, is when you're doing a picture, you see these mistakes, you know where you've gone wrong. People viewing it don't see that. It's a bit like you, Steve. We've often discussed, I said to you, how did it go last night? And you say, I did this and I made this and I said this and so on. And I can say, well, people don't see those mistakes unless they're blatantly obvious, Like the other day when, somebody walked past and knocked the wine off the table, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
I mean, that sort of thing you can't cover up. But, a general, if you're in any audio, any narration, people don't pick these. And it's the same with paintings. They don't see these mistakes unless it's glaringly obvious. So I think you ought to take heart, really, all you people out there, if you do a picture and you are happy with it and people say, oh, that's really, really nice, take their word for it, not yours. And anyway, Claudia goes on to say, thank you for your beautiful tutorials. You're a fantastic teacher. So
Lovely.
There we are.
Lovely.
Take care. It's really, really nice. And it's lovely with people. We get so many lovely things said. But and it gives me a chance, really, when I read something like this to, elaborate on it a bit.
Yeah. Great. Oh, that's really good.
That was a nice one.
Thanks for that. So we've got to give a birthday shout out. It's birthday today. It's
Do you want us to sing happy birthday, Steve?
I don't think they'd want that. It's Rachel, who just joined up to be a member on our website, a lifetime member, and she said it's her birthday in a few days' time, so it either be perhaps today or at the weekend. And I said we'd give you a birthday shout out. So happy birthday, Rachel, from me and you.
And me too. Happy birthday, Rachel.
And welcome to Colin Bradley Art as a lifetime member.
Yes, lovely. Well, she just ordered some more pencils, loads more pencils, so she's going to be hard at it.
Excellent. That's great. So, what else have you got? Have you got anything else?
I don't think I have. I think I've... Oh, wait a minute. Yes, I have. There's one tucked down at the bottom here. Don asked, actually, can you tell him how I did the fur on the koalas? He wanted to know how I did it. Well, you'd have to really... You can't explain something like this. That's almost impossible. It's better to watch the koala once either we've got enough of it, I think, seen on the website, that clip you put on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it's not the whole story. The best part of this, from my point of view, it's only from my point of view, is the ear. We put it on Facebook a little while ago, didn't we? The ear and part of the fur. That ear was incredible. And I felt then that we'd pushed the pastel pencils as far as it would go, because they really, really did a stunning job. Unfortunately, Don, if you're not a member, you're not going to be able to see that, because that's only going to be on the member site. That came after the clip that you put on. But any members out there are going to see magic. And I promise you it's going to be magic. It was magic when I did it. But how do you explain? How do I get to explain how this it works? It's like a little twiddle. That's all I usually use that word, twiddle.
Yeah.
Or the Bradley Squiggle, I remember years ago, people used to say, oh, it's a Bradley Squiggle. And it became a catchphrase in a class.
It? Interesting.
Yeah, because that's all I can describe it as. It's a little squiggle that... but you've got to rely on the fact that you're developing, the build-up is the light to dark, but you mustn't put too much light on, otherwise it's the medium colours are going to look too sad against it. So you've got to get the tones just right as you develop them, and then you've got the little squiggle.
The little squiggle.
Experience, really, I suppose, really goes to do something like that. And one of the great things about what we can do, we can show it on video. So you see it close up and you see exactly how it's done. We know it works because we get some stunning pictures come through to us. Pictures I wouldn't have thought people could have done years ago, but actually they can. And I think it's only because they can see this close-up imagery, which leaves an impression, and they can play it back and do it again, play it back and do it again. They can practice on spare paper.
Practice in Starbucks, they can go anywhere.
Yeah.
That's it. They're good. Yeah, that's a good question. And that koala bears, I think, I say this about a lot of your pictures, and I truly mean it with this one. I think it's one of your best, certainly in the top three for me, because I think it's it is pushing the limits to the pastel pencil, and it's showing. I don't like saying stuff like this, but I don't see how you can better that kind of effect with a pastel pencil. I don't know. I'm sure you can, but it's so extraordinary, and the feedback. I've posted that picture quite a lot of places on the web to our various sources, and everyone's saying the same thing. You know, I can feel it. I can almost feel that fur. I can feel the love coming from the two. Do you know what I mean? Like I can see the texture of the fur, and I can almost touch it. I want to give them a cuddle. It's all the same kind of feelings, and that invokes that feeling in me. I feel the same, you know, and it's just extraordinary, that picture.
Well, I'll tell you a story, if I haven't already told it before, because I have a habit of repeating myself these days. But the reason Koala Bear, for a long, long, long time, I've been putting it off because of that fur. I knew how tricky and difficult it would be. So sometimes you get to a point in time when you think, now's the time to try that. And I did, and it worked. But the thing is, folks, I never practiced that. I just went for it. You know, I set it up on the paper, and I didn't think. I mean, I thought in advance. How am I going to tackle this? But what you actually see, and this is why I like the video so much, is you see me working it out. I talk as I go along, and the narrative gives you the clue that I'm actually doing this for the first time. So, do you know what I mean?
Amazing.
I know I tell people to practice on spare paper, but I don't usually do that. The only time I do it is when I work out colours. When I want to work out a colour band. I showed you that a little while ago, how I do that. But the actual techniques, I go for it. And it becomes, as I said, the ear. When you get to that ear, folks, it's going to be a little while yet, but when you do get to see it, marvel at how good the pastel pencils are to be able to produce that combination of pinks and greys. It's the link between those two, the inside and the outside of the ear, and the harmony that goes. That bit was me the ultimate.
Yeah.
And you're right, I don't know whether I can. I'm sure I can. But I said that about the children, when I'm doing these children, the children's faces. And I've done hand. Did I send you the picture of the hand, Steve? I think I did.
Don't know if you did, yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, I've done a hand. And hands are tricky things to do anyway. Hands of a child is really hard because you haven't got the lines that you have on adults. So I had to make these sort of, like puffy fingers they have. Very, very pretty hands they have. And you know what? I'll tell you folks now, I wasn't going to, but I'm going to tell you, this little hand that is in the picture, there's only one hand that's prominent, has got cuticles on the nails.
Oh, my God.
And white. On the top of your nail, you've got a white. Yeah, it's got that as well. The little hand, and it's the fingernail is tiny. So I did that. So, folks, you've got a real treat coming up. But I love the thing is, you see, people look at that and say, well, "How do you do that?" I do it because I love doing it. I spend a long time in it. I mean, you see me do it, in fairness, but I spend a long time away from the camera perfecting it. And so that people can see again, just how good the pastel pencils are. And they are miraculous. They do a fantastic job. So there you go. You got that to come, folks.
Good. Excellent. That's exciting. I want to see this picture now. I don't think you have sent that to me. I think I'd remember that.
I tell you what I'll do, Steve. I'll blow that picture up and send it to you, and you can put it on Facebook. Just the picture of the cuticle in the hand. And I'll explain to them. What I'll try to do is put something like a 5p piece alongside it, or something that people will recognise. Do you know what I mean? I'll put it on, and you can see just how big it is. It's a tiny little finger.
Wow.
I'll do that.
Wow, great, excellent. Okay, cool. Well, I think we'll leave it there then for this week. I think there's a ton of information we've talked about. I'm going to have fun writing up these show notes. All that's left to say is if you want to join our community and join all the other members and watch those koala and the children when they go up, tutorials, then join our website. You can be a member by going to colinbradleyart.co.uk, and we have monthly, 6 monthly or lifetime subscriptions, which you would have heard about on the show. And if you want to get in touch and send us a message, you can do so through Facebook, facebook.com/Colin1940, via email, admin@colinbradleyart.co.uk, or straight to Dad using Dad's email address, which is colin@bradleygallery.co.uk, or you can contact us through the website using the Contact Us page. Fill out the form and click send, and it'll come to us.
We'll keep the questions coming in, keep the feedback coming in, keep the pictures coming in at Facebook, and keep it going. It's all down to you, really, and this is as much part of your show as it is ours.
Definitely. We wouldn't have a show without all our members.
No,
and
absolutely not.
Students.
And proof of the pudding is this week's show, which has been an enormous amount of information that's sent through. And we haven't covered everybody. Unfortunately, some I've had to put off to next week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, great. Well, that's it then for this week. Thanks everyone for listening. I'm Steve Bradley.
I'm Colin Bradley.
Enjoy your week. We got that right.
Yeah. We're getting good at this.